the dickens is going on around here?
Who was driving it?
I don't know.
Curtis! It's coming after us! What is going on?
I don't know!
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
How do?
This week, we're discussing the 1986 horror sci-fi classic, Maximum Overdrive, starring Emilio Estevez and others.
Oh, Lord.
Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, how are you doing?
I saw Kraftwerk this weekend, and by God, it was a religious experience. It is an not an interactive, but a whole video experience. They were geniuses.
Now, you don't call them Kraftwerk.
Do you know what that means?
What does it mean?
Factory.
But why do you call it Kraftwerk instead of Kraftwerk?
Because I am not German.
You have to do the proper pronunciation, Aaron. Very upsetting.
It's a Kraftwerk song at the introduction to the Saturday Night Live skit Sprockets.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
I didn't realize that. This is the time on Sprockets when we dance.
We
Touch my
dance.
monkey.
I've been deep diving Kraftwerk since then. They refuse to be interviewed. They don't have the ringer on at the phone at the studio, so you try to contact them. There's only a certain time where the guy will answer the phone, but they don't tell you when or how he knows when it's time to read. The phone will ring since there is no ringer on the phone.
They're
the name? Notoriously mysterious.
What is the name of that Kraftwerk song? I'm pulling it up right now if I can find it.
I can't remember. Just Google Kraftwerk Sprockets.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
Sprockets.
I have to say, and I mentioned this to you earlier, I was out, we had the staff versus student basketball game. So it was 48-year-old K-Dog playing against a bunch of 7th and 8th graders.
And how'd that work out?
Not too well. I did not play well. It was vaguely embarrassing.
Well, quite frankly, on my 90-Day Fiancé, I'm always concerned how 58-year-old people are staying up with their 26-year-old wives. So,
Kraftwerk Electric Cafe.
Electric Cafe
is the name of the song.
That's right.
I'm cranking this up just for a minute.
All right.
Is this a song?
You gotta let it roll.
I
Recognize it?
Are you kidding me with this? Okay, enough. This is the time on Sprockets when we dance.
Let me dance.
Oh, God help us all. It was embarrassing. In my fantasies, I'm blocking shots. Kids are going away crying. There's only one person crying at the end of this game.
So you were not Cosmo Kramer doing the karate with the children?
I mean, it might as well have been. It was very upsetting. Very upsetting. Sweet Jesus.
You're competing against children!
That was funny. That was a good moment. Why don't you give us your 30-second synopsis of Maximum Overdrive?
Oh, it hurts my heart. It is yet another freaking movie about mechanical and non-mechanical items trying to attack and kill the humans. For God's sakes. So guess what? People get killed. They try to enslave the humans because someone's got to put gas in the machine. Humans win.
Do we?
Question mark. How about that?
Who made who? Is the question.
Maybe it was a comet. Maybe it was aliens. Maybe it was the Russians. I mean, the 80s was all about comets, and they were all coming to destroy us.
Right. If
What
you're
was
looking for
Armageddon?
answers,
Was that a comet, or was that just the sun crashing into us, putting us out of our misery?
Armageddon was an asteroid the
What's the difference
size of
between
Texas?
an asteroid is just a rock, and a comet is
Yes.
a frozen rock?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. Well,
So the frozenness causes the crazies and the zombies and trucks to rise up.
well, comets have kind of an orbit, right? Like it's an elliptical
So
kind of thing.
can asteroids.
I think asteroids just kind of float through space, and sometimes they join an orbit that's already in existence. But
Correct. So they can be caught up in an orbit. Correct.
I love how we're Neil deGrasse Tyson all of a sudden. We were experts in our field, as you
According
can
to
tell.
what my brain thinks, that is a correct statement.
I do my own research. What?
Hey, I took science at a junior college.
It was biology, but yes.
It all sounds right.
It makes sense to me. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, we have to mention we literally just finished recording with our buddy Antonio and his amazing podcast, the Cult-Worthy Cinema Podcast. So check
I
that
hope to
stuff
take
out.
everything that he mentioned and insert it here as my own idea.
we, as I've often said, if we go on somebody else's show to discuss a movie, you know we're going to discuss it here as well. We're going to squeeze every ounce of blood from that rock.
That's
how
right.
we roll.
We need to create a backlog because we're all going on vacation. And we have not missed a week yet, as God is my witness.
As God as my witness. 100%. Now, Aaron, speaking of Maximum Overdrive, had you ever seen this before?
No. I knew it was, or maybe I didn't even know it was a car thing. I had not seen it. Let's just put it out there. I recognize the name, but I sure as hell had not seen this. I'm a sophisticated lady, and I like to think that I see sophisticated movies.
Now, if it was called David Lynch Presents Maximum Overdrive, would you have rushed to the cinema?
You know damn well I would have been shelling out my $7 or $25, whatever the hell it costs now, with my bucket of popcorn and a can of beer that I smuggled in with my purse, sitting back, laughing at the people who walk out of the theater.
And it probably would have made just as much sense at that stage of the game with David Lynch at the helm.
Been better. Let's be very clear. It would have been better.
Whenever you tell me that you're like smuggling things into the theater, I always think back 30 years ago. I was going to the movies with my buddy, and on the way to the movie, we'd hit McDonald's, and it would be like, I don't remember what it was, 35-cent hamburger day or so, some kind of weird like promotion, and we get like $10 worth of hamburgers from McDonald's, and my buddy's wearing like cargo pants, so we just shove it right in his pocket.
Oh my God! What like your tots are in there?
Like Napoleon Dynamite. And it was literally like, are those hamburgers in your pocket? You're just happy to see me. It was one of those moments. Something was going on. No question. I remember seeing the box for this movie at the warehouse where you go rent movies back in the day. And it was Emilio Estevez on the cover with like a machine gun in his hands, which he has machine guns at one point. I don't think he ever actually shoots anything with it. And then the big like face of the truck, the Green Goblin mask, like behind him, and that was Maximum Overdrive. So
yeah, that does sound like something. I'm not a real car person. I mean, I would like to have luxury sports cars,
yes,
but I don't know anything about them, nor do I care to know anything about them. But back to me. Smuggling things into the theater. I remember I tried to get a bunch of people and we were going to bring wine and smuggle cheese and crackers, and the plan was we were going to take over the cry room so then we could just talk out loud, but they muffled the sound of the show, so we all had to stumble out of the cry room and sit in regular seats.
That's upsetting. So you're
you
saying
wanted to be able to laugh and make fun of it while we're like cracking beers and opening bottles of wine in the back of the theater.
You're smuggling stuff like it was Midnight Express or something in there, basically.
Because it's better that way. I don't like the theaters where people are walking by serving me shit. Like they heat it in a microwave, squeeze it out of a tube, puts it on a plate, and while I'm trying to watch a movie, walk back and forth in front of me. I want a dark room. I want to hide in the cry room with my friends and cackle.
I've never been to a theater that has a cry room, by the way.
Not all at the theater I go to, not all the rooms have a cry room, but some of them do.
Now, when I go to the movies, the cry room is just the theater. So, good times had by all. Sweet Jesus. Why don't we jump right in to the highlights?
If we must. We need to talk about that in the 80s, everyone was terrified of comets. Comets were coming to get us. They're going to destroy us. It raises the dead. It causes your garden hose to kill you.
Turns you into a mutant of some sort.
Turns you into a mutant. Causes parasites, worms, God knows what. But the comets are coming, and it's all bad.
Well, and I think it was 86 the year of Halley's Comet. I'm trying to remember.
It's something around that, and now it won't be around for 86 years.
Well, I don't think it's 86 anymore. I think it's now, how long has it been? So maybe 36 more years? What are you thinking?
Yeah, a mere 36 more years. I think it's like 2064 or something like that.
2060, maybe it's 2064.
I'm Googling it.
I think that's wrong, but who's to say? Who's to say? So, oh God. So this movie starts out and there is a long old montage, which I freaking thought it was hilarious and amazing, of just violence and mayhem. Because there's a little
Halley's Comet.
Yes.
We'll be back in 2061.
26. That was pretty close.
Yeah.
So you were knocking on the door there.
Knocking on heaven's door.
They said a comet. knocking on heaven's door. Wow. A comet, like Earth is going to be in the tail of this comet for 7 days or some shit. Is that what it is?
Yeah. That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense. I mean, I vaguely remember Halley's Comet, and there have been other comets that have come reasonably close to the Earth.
How
and
about
you just
this?
see.
I didn't even try to go look at it. How about that? I just didn't even give a shit.
You're unable to experience joy. I understand. But it's literally like, if you look up in the store with a telescope, you'll see like a little line. Like about the size of a little, I don't know, a piece of rice. Okay, there was that comet. It's not like
and now
it's
I'm
green. There's green. The whole skies are green from this. I mean, maybe you get hit by a comet. Is that possible?
Then you get the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill. You don't want that.
You do not. You definitely don't want that. But
don't touch it. Don't put your fingers in your mouth after you touch it.
When the comet, when the Earth is in the tail of the comet, machines, and I use that term loosely, come to life, and they're single-minded in their desire to just murder whatever person seems to be at hand.
It doesn't matter if you took your car in for every oil change, that you don't abuse it, you don't slam the door too hard, you wash it,
wax it with a fine chamois.
Wax on, wax off, doesn't matter. They're going to pop your head like a grate.
Pop it like a grate. And the first thing that happens, there's a brief, Alfred Hitchcock cameo by Stephen King, which this movie, you wonder, is it meant to be funny? Because most of the time it seems like it's dreadfully serious, despite the madness that you see. But occasionally you're like, oh, that was a comedic moment, I guess? Question mark?
First of all, so these machines can now communicate too?
Yes, they can.
So is the ATM machine the leader? Is that what we should have gone and talked to the ATM machine?
It's the Borg.
ATM machine... I wish it was the freaking Borg.
It's the Borg. Well, because first, when you walk up to the bank, no one seems to notice. But on like the electronic billboard, it's just like, "F you," like flashing.
I feel like I would have noticed that.
I think I would have noticed that as well. And Stephen King's trying to get money out of his account, and then the ATM is like calling him an asshole or something. So that's how you know shit's going wrong when the ATM turns
It
against
was
you.
very abusive to me.
Which, as far as what we see happen in the rest of the movie, is a fairly benign reaction to being possessed by aliens or the comet. Who's to say? Because the next scene is arguably my favorite scene of the movie is the bridge scene where two jackasses are playing Uno or something, working in the tower. Because you have to have a dude who actually works on, hits a button and pulls the crank to get the bridge to kind of rise up, I guess. Because I guess what happens? Boats travel.
Yeah.
So you got to have the bridge rise up. And while they're not paying attention, the shit does it on its own, which you think would be kind of loud, but clearly not in this case.
No, they got their noise canceling beats on, and they just don't realize that cars are crashing, people are screaming, watermelons are rolling everywhere.
It was a watermelon apocalypse because more watermelons are damaged in the course of the scene than all the lives lost in the rest of the movie.
R.I.P. watermelon.
Right. So it's that thing where people are driving. Oh, la la, I'm going to cross the bridge. Oh, shit, the bridge is going up. I guess I'm going to keep going. Why? Why not?
I'm sure I can make it.
I'm just going to, and if I don't keep going, I'm just going to stay here as the bridge slowly goes up and eventually I fall to my doom. So there's a lot of those scenes of people like flying through windshields, dropping off the bridge. That is comedy. That is high comedy in the first 5 minutes.
What you don't see is people putting on their brakes and turning their cars around or getting out of their cars and running off. You don't see that.
No. You do see a guy on a motorcycle. I don't know if it's Evel Knievel reincarnated, trying to go up the bridge to, let's just say it doesn't work out for him. So, yeah, good times. Meanwhile, you got Laurel and Hardy up in the tower just looking at, oh, shit. How about we throw the crank the other direction before we lose any more lives? What do you think, guys? No? Not so much?
What's going on out here?
Goober and Gomer are up there. Who knows what they're not helping. That's for sure. Sweet Jesus.
It was Ding Dong Daddy-O.
Ding Dong Daddy-O. And then the next scene is arguably the most, the second funniest scene, the Little League scene. A guy, they just won the championship or whatever the hell. Dad's going to get them all a Coke to celebrate. So he goes to the vending machine and evidently has $20 in quarters in his pocket. I don't know if is that money in your pocket? You're just happy to see me. So the Coke machine has gone crazy, hits him in the nuts with a can, and then hits him in the forehead, cracks his skull with one. It's carnage.
It's carnage. And the fact that they did this to the Bad News Bears it makes it all the more sad.
Tanner takes one in the back of the head, no question. Because you do see after the coach is whatever has been murdered, now cans are just launching, pow, 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 pow. And a couple kids catch a couple shrapnel. You see them drop like stones. So
it's a soda can. I mean, you just step to the side. What kind of a spray would they have? Move to the side. If you can't do that, then you deserve a can to the head.
A lot of people in this movie do die because their inability to go to the side, either to the right or to the left.
These are the early Darwin Awards.
100%. And then the third most amazing death occurs when a steamroller, still at the baseball diamond, smashes through the gate. Some kid's trying to pedal away, but his bike says, "No can do. I am also possessed." There's no, is it an electric bike? Who's to say? He gets thrown off and is promptly, because he cannot roll to the right or to the left, he gets just flattened, popped like a grape.
Ridiculous.
Very upsetting. Very upsetting.
We hear the phrase "eat my shorts" from time to time here. You
do. Absolutely. Well, the one baseball boy survives the initial conflagration. And you kind of stay with him as he's pedaling through his neighborhood, where you just witness just Here's death by by Walkman over here. Here's death by hairdryer over here. This, I've said it before and I will say it again. If we could have just stayed with the baseball boy as he cruises around town and witnesses carnage, this is an A-plus film for me, as far as I'm concerned.
Unfortunately, that's not what happened.
Alas, it was not to be.
Therefore, this is not.
So at this point, then we meet, oh God, there's the Dixie Boy truck stop where Emilio Estevez is a ex-con on parole.
Some of his truly, truly worst acting.
Well, I'm trying to think, what had he done prior to this? I know he was in The Outsiders.
I thought you were asking me what did he do that was good. So
what did he do?
I was stumbling over that too.
Who did he offend to get cast in this movie is the question.
But he was lucky to have this. He appreciated it.
He was damn lucky. He was in The Outsiders with 1,000 other people playing, I don't remember.
I never saw The Outsiders. How about that?
I'm speechless. I'm speechless. How have you never seen The Outsiders? You got
But
Swayze.
I've seen Rumblefish 55 times.
Rumblefish doesn't get it done. Tex does not get it done. All the lesser, that was then, this is now.
The lesser Hittens.
The lesser Hittens do not get it done. With Outsiders, you get Swayze, you get Rob Lowe, C. Thomas Howell, Tom Cruise, you get Emilio, you get Leif Garrett, Diane Lane, and the immortal Ralph Macchio.
That is a situation.
It's a situation. Anywho, no, they have the greasers and the socias. It's, it's class warfare at its finest. And poor little, you got to do it for, I didn't even mention, and frickin' the patron saint of all S.E. Hinton films, Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon. If they're making the movie, Matt Dillon's on the speed dial. So people don't even know what speed dial is
Matt
anymore.
Dillon. I mean, I know who Matt Dillon is, but only movie that ever registers with me is, of course, Something About Mary.
That was the Matt Dillon Renaissance, right? 10 years after,
make a film without him.
10 years after Tex ignominiously closed in theaters, he came back with Something About Mary, which is arguably his finest role to date.
It was a deep cut. He really reached down deep for that role.
Deep inside, no question. But that's the thing. It's like Emilio's on the poster. So he's not just some dude at this point, right? He's
right. He was the draw. He was the draw. It wasn't Baseball Boy.
It was damn sure not Baseball Boy. That's Deke was, I think, Baseball Boy's name. We didn't even mention this was ever so loosely based upon a short story by Stephen King, which I kept calling Cars, but I think is actually called Trucks in retrospect.
I'm on the highway, I'm going my way all night long.
Those are not the lyrics. Not even close. But okay.
Close enough.
Close enough for this podcast. Short story called Trucks. So they said, we will turn your freaking laundry list, your grocery list into a movie. Let's do Trucks. Stephen King.
Is that a dirty Kleenex, Stephen King? Here's $8 million.
Here's $8 million. So they said, Steve-O, we've done your movies before, but I'm thinking we're going to do something a little different this time. How about you direct? Granted, never been to film school. Now, I mean, you were in Creepshow, so that's
Kevin,
something. Yes.
Did he direct himself in Creepshow?
No, George Romero is the director of Creepshow.
Well, he watched George for a couple of weeks, so he figured he had it down. How hard could this whole making a movie thing be?
How hard could it be, is what he said. Now, here's the thing. By his own admission, in 85, 86, he was hip deep in cocaine, just in his day-to-day life. Oh, you know the difference, readers. You know the moment where it went from a 1,000-page book with 10,000 characters, all with a deep backstory,
to suddenly we got these things like Christine and Pet Cemetery, where it was like 200 pages and as light as a feather.
I'll say this. You turn your nose up at Pet Cemetery and these kind of films or these kind of books. I will tell you, those are freaking sweet lullabies compared to the shit that he did after he kicked the cocaine. The books got longer and longer and longer, and some would argue shittier and shittier. And the gooch is you're reading Tommy Knockers. I'm in 1,000 pages. Oh, you're not going to end this one, Steve? You're just going to be like, whatever, I've written enough. Leave the rest to the audience's imagination.
That's
You
right,
don't tell
George
me
R.
that.
R. Martin, if you ask me. I'm still waiting for that son of a bitch.
Absolutely. 100%. We may never get the rest of the Song of
We
Ice and
will
Fire.
never get it. He can't be healthy.
He can't. Is it cocaine? Perhaps. Who could say?
I think it's brain drain.
So yeah, Stephen King has been on record to say like he doesn't even remember shooting this film. So, and it every ounce of that is on the screen. So that's something.
You would think that it would be less boring. I don't know why. I think if you're cast and director on cocaine, that it would be a little bit more action. But that's not true.
Well, there's multiple scenes of people being hit by trucks going 7 miles an hour. There's multiple of those scenes, and then there's the entire subplot where the owner of the truck stop has just rocket launchers in his basement. No explanation.
Why don't we bring those out at the beginning?
Absolute. Well, and then why are we stopping using them? Why are we sneaking around if we got rocket launchers? We're like the A-team up in here, you know. Why are we swimming through the sewer grate like Shawshank, Andy Dufresne? Why are we doing that when we have rockets down in the garage?
I think the answer is we were just making this shit up as we went along.
100%. 100%. And frankly, there isn't enough story, in my opinion, to fill the time of a feature-length film. So they kind of like, we just got to stretch this out. Stretch it out. So, God help us.
Oh, there was way too much stretching. This could have been like the lost extra chapter in Creepshow. Trim it down to a type 35. Maybe you got something. Maybe if George was editing it and trimming that up, maybe. But all I can say is blessedly, it's only around the typical 90 minutes. But even that felt long.
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of these stories that we think of that were not full feature-length books were from like the Night Shift collection, which is a good collection. But each story is short and sweet. They're all about 8 to 12 pages, just a little something, a little flavor, and then you move on to something else. It's very difficult.
Something about a book that you can imagine the most ridiculous things and it doesn't bother you versus when you try to put it on screen. Hello, Lawnmower Man.
We always talk about the Lawnmower Man. We have to do it at some point because when you read the short story, you're like, why would they ever even conceive of making a movie about this short story? It's like when
you read it, it's fine. You don't really care. But I was like, what?
Right. When it's 6.5 pages, you're like, whatever. I'm going to be done with it in the next 10 minutes. Right.
I mean, that was a great collection of short stories.
It was
short stories. So that could have been like an anthology. This could little snippets, little stories, like a creep show. Not. I mean, quite frankly, everyone loves Children of the Corn.
Right.
But even that was a short story.
Super short.
And it was great short story.
Yeah, 100%. But that's what they were doing in the 80s with old Steve-O.
They didn't give a damn. They had a tiger by the tail.
During the course of this movie, we meet a variety of bizarre and forgettable characters. You got the
Very forgettable.
very forgettable. We said Emilio, who's the ex-con on parole, who's working the fry counter or whatever the hell he's doing, working making omelets. I don't know what the hell he's doing.
It's important that we know that the owner of the gas station diner, Boss Hogg,
Yes.
is an asshole and is taking advantage of all his employees. It's very important to know that.
Well,
Why,
and
I
that's
don't know.
the thing about these movies back in the day is whenever a character's like, "Hey, look at me, I'm an asshole," you know they're dead. It may be in 5 minutes, it may be in a half an hour, it may be in an hour and a half. They're dead at some point,
Correct.
right? So that's always important. It kind of it's like the Shyamalan twist is like, and I survived even though I'm an asshole.
That would be the twist.
That
yes.
would be the twist.
Yeardley Smith surviving, that was a twist.
That was a twist. So Yeardley Smith, who's the voice of Lisa Simpson from The Simpsons, she and her husband are newlyweds, and all like right out of the gate, she's kind of shrewish. Is that what we're supposed to think?
Whiny,
Yes.
and a crazy voice that's great for The Simpsons, but goes through my head like a nail.
It's true because that's her
I
real
think she was
voice.
secretly whispering Scientology through the airwaves.
Is she a Scientologist?
She is.
Oh shit! Though there you go.
She's on my list of Scientologists.
She's on. You have a list. Interesting.
So I'll know when they try to hypnotize me. I know they want to recruit me.
They do. Oh, 100%. 100%. So there's that annoying couple who show up at some point. There's the Bible salesman who shows up. He's picked up a hitchhiker that he's constantly trying to grope on the way to the truck stop. Good Lord. The young hitchhiker becomes the love interest of Emilio Estevez because how could she not? Right? I mean, he's in this movie, he's just all charm. He's
Oh my god. He has zero personality. He looks
Yes.
very dirty, and he looks like he's about 5'3".
You know, and I've said this before. Martin Sheen, his father, you don't realize how short he is. It's like you just assume everybody's kind of a normal height. Martin, when you watch him on West Wing and you see him with anybody, you're like, oh, is that Billy Barty I see over there? What's happening?
They're small, delicate souls.
Small and delicate. 100%. 100%. Oh, God, help us all.
I just thought of a new ending for this.
Please.
What if out of the Joker truck leaps Charlie screaming about Tiger's blood? Now, wouldn't have that been an improvement?
I think the best ending would have just been, rather than the kind of twist where the Russian weather satellite shoots a nuclear weapon or a laser beam or some shit and blows
And
up
a
the
UFO.
kills the UFO. What if instead they shoot that nuclear weapon to the Dixie Boy and
To the
just
Dixie Boy and ends it.
ends it? Now that's what they did in Return of the Living Dead. That was a great twist for that movie, where they go like, too many zombies, just nuke them, nuke Louisville,
you bastards. Yeah,
Or
sadly,
Knoxville.
over at the Dixie Boy, there's no government, there's no Walking Dead, there's no nothing. Just a couple of dirty people at a gas station diner.
Well, I think we've said this before. You got a handful of recognizable characters. Like here, this is a character.
Before they were huge.
Well, I'm not even talking about the actors, but just like here's a handful of characters. Okay, then we're gonna add about 15 glorified extras who are also hanging out, and you see them kind of sleeping in the bar late at night, as dude with a beard. Who the hell is he? I don't know. Does he have a name? Who's to say? There's a lot of those.
It reminds me of The Birds, where
Yes.
everybody's sitting in the cafe watching the carnage go all around them.
Right.
If only the cars started driving through that bar/diner.
Well, the good thing about The Birds is that scene in the diner is what, 15 minutes? So
Versus 9.5 hours at this one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like if Rando Joe in the 15-minute diner scene in The Birds gets eaten by a bird, who gives a shit? if we're an hour 45 with Rando in the background, am I supposed to care about this person? Does he have? And then they start giving him some lines. No, Wanda Jean, don't run out there. It's like, who are
Wanda
you?
Jean turned around and said, "Who the hell are you? How
That's
you
what
know
I was.
my name? How you know my name?
That's what I was.
We made
on.
you."
And then, of course, AC/DC does the soundtrack for this movie. They did what I know. I heard Hell's Bells.
I heard Hell's Bells. I heard a bunch of shit I didn't know. Are we
Well,
supposed to assume? I mean, background music should be so you ignore it. Are we assuming that everybody has a radio on to the all AC/DC station? For the next 6 hours, only deep cuts.
only the B-sides from unreleased albums. Well, that's the question. It's like you have like the soundtrack, which is like the songs that you recognize or whatever. But then there's the score. The score is kind of the actual kind of mood music that occurs.
It's fucking AC/DC for 6.5 hours with 2 recognizable songs.
Well, and they were trying to pull like Queen, because Queen had that moment where they're like, "Hey, we're doing the theme music to Flash Gordon and Highlander, because that's what we do." I think AC/DC was trying to get on board as well. So
that didn't work out for them.
So AC/DC wrote a song, presumably for this movie. I'm assuming it's not a
like
B-side.
Neil Diamond, Turn On Your Heart Light.
Turn On Your Heart Light, or what was it from? Was it Hello Again? Was that from Jazz Singer? What was the big hit? Hello again.
Or
Hello.
We're coming to America today.
What was that from a movie? I think that was from
The Jazz Singer.
Was it really?
That was all of the Jazz Singer soundtrack.
Oh shit! Well, there you go.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing, of thee I sing.
When I was a kid, I freaking hated Neil Diamond. I thought it was old person music. And then, of course, as I get older, I'm like, not as bad as I remember. Now, granted, Neil is great because he kind of does kind of this thing where it's like, is it spoken word or is it sung? I'm gonna shift from one to the other and back and forth constantly in all my music. So I appreciate that.
Cracklin' Rosie is about opening bottles of rosé wine and getting drunk.
Sweet Caroline was about the underaged Caroline Kennedy when he wrote it.
UB40's Red Red Wine, written by Neil Diamond.
That's true. He didn't write that version, but
There's
yes,
different versions of the song.
Yes, he sang a version of it, like in the '60s or whatever.
For that one, I think UB40 got it right.
I don't disagree. Now, he also did Daydream Believer. He wrote that one for Davy Jones and the Monkees.
I did enjoy that song.
That's a good one.
But he is a solitary man.
September morn, we danced until the night became a brand new day.
This could be a 6-hour Neil Diamond podcast.
Easily. Now, why is this movie called Maximum Overdrive?
We don't know.
No
because
explanation.
No one was driving more than 5 miles an hour.
Right.
That's not maximum, and it's not overdrive.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination.
Why not just call it throw the car in reverse? Because that's basically what we're dealing with in this movie. Now, the hitchhiker girl who forms the relationship.
And every time you say the hitchhiker, I keep waiting for the dude with the knife.
The hitcher?
Is it the hitcher?
Is that what you're talking about? But that's why I keep calling her the hitchhiker girl, to let us know that that's what we're talking about. She's
not Rutger Hauer.
He not Rutger Hauer.
Did I miss him? Did he do a cameo? Because I think that would have improved it.
C. Thomas Howell was available. So.
What if the Bible salesman had picked up Eileen Wuornos instead of that girl? This might have been different.
She almost pulls an Eileen Warnos on him because he keeps grabbing her thigh, and then she pulls like a butterfly knife out of her boot.
She's like,
So she was
Yeah.
ready. She was ready for action. And they keep calling her, like multiple times, they call her a road twitch, which I don't know if that's a thing. Is that a common nomenclature for hitchhikers?
that doesn't even seem to make any sense. Are they just saying she's a whore?
Could be. I guess that answers some questions. But she's the one who coins the phrase, "It's like maximum overdrive out here." And Emilio just kind of nods like that's fucking profound or some shit. That's just nonsense, Emilio, like the rest of the script, I guess.
Okay. Here we go.
Lay it on me.
Road twitch meaning a forest road or trail along which logs are dragged.
Is it a multiple meaning word?
It does not say that.
Okay. Well, that's of no value.
Urban legend?
You lay it on me.
Oh, here we go. Urban Dictionary. A slut, a tease, a general nuisance, someone who uses sex or the promise of it to get what she wants.
Well, that works. That works.
I think that's why she's sidling up with Emilio. She's looking for protection.
Correct. So they kind of get a little hot and bothered with each other, and
More
start.
of a transactional relationship.
I think it's love.
I
think
think
it's
be
love.
love.
It must have been love. Oh, we're all doing different songs. Earlier in the film, Giancarlo Esposito, who famously was Gus Fring on Breaking Bad,
Yes.
this is pre-Breaking Bad, as you might imagine. He's in the video arcade, and all the machines go crazy. They're shooting cigarettes at him, money, change, and then he gets electrocuted and hypnotized by one of the machines.
Yeah,
Interesting.
those were mean machines.
Mean
Bad
machines. So they throw his body down in the in the root cellar. I don't know where they're putting him. They start stacking
In
the
the
bodies
bunker.
in the bunker. When old blind Joe gets wiped out by one of the trucks, throw his corpse down there as well.
I'm gonna call him Blind Pew. Like Treasure Island.
Please do. You would think this kind of makeshift abattoir would not be the most romantic place to share your first sexual encounter, but Emilio and the Road Twitch, they make do. They make do.
They threw some blankets down. I mean, they weren't stinky yet, so I guess I don't know. It's better than sleeping on the ground, I guess.
It's better than sleeping on the ground. I think we can all agree on that, at least. Sweet Jesus. What else you got? Any highlights?
I got the guy who runs the store, the old racist white guy, Boss Hogg, tells everybody to, I don't give a ladybug. And then every other line after that is pure profanity. So I'm not sure where I don't give a ladybug and eat my shorts came from.
They came from this. I think we can all. There's a scene when the annoying couple, they're being chased on the freeway. There's like a big truck coming after them. He does some kind of a little wide swerve, and the truck that's following them just drives into a ditch and immediately bursts into flames. I don't think that's how cars work, but I'm not a mechanic. Who's to say?
I literally had my car caught on fire, and it didn't explode like that. It went when the gas tank blew up. Now, it was a Jeep, and it was aluminum, so it melted into a block, but yeah, there was no mushroom cloud.
There was no. It wasn't packed full of napalm. Generally speaking,
not at that time.
Later, right? That happened later. Things that you think happen to cars based upon movies we've seen. Cars are not bulletproof. If you shoot at it, the bullet will typically go right through it. So hiding behind the car door and getting into a gunfire, offers zero protection.
Wait. You think that plastic that wraps around my car, that's not like virgin U.S. steel? What are you talking about?
It's not Kevlar. Absolutely not.
My Prius is not bulletproof.
It's not. I know it's hard to believe. Now, that being said, if you see a car and you shoot it, it will not immediately explode. So, also things to be
TV
aware
has
of.
lied to us.
They've lied to
so
us.
much.
100%.
Very sad.
It's worthless. Why are we even here? Right?
It's all lies. What's the point?
What is the point? Now, multiple times we've talked about how machines, what are they? What qualifies as a machine?
Are they
Why are-
sentient? Is it if your refrigerator has AI, will it eventually kill you? Or does it even need to be AI? This film tells us your garden hose is a machine that will also kill you.
Correct. And if you use a hair dryer, the cord will just wrap around your neck, and that's how you will die. So
Leaning out your bedroom window.
leaning out your bedroom window, 100%. Some cars are possessed. Other cars are not possessed.
Some bicycles are possessed, others are not.
100%. A Walkman could be a deadly weapon in this scenario. So,
It's
yes.
too loud.
Too loud.
Ah.
That'll do
Many
it.
people with like exploded brains from their Walkman. And when
They
we
do
say
that.
Walkman, we mean a Walkman.
Well, it's been said before. It's like whenever manufacturers create some kind of device, there's always a setting that will kill.
It's true.
100%.
I learned that on The Simpsons. You have to turn the switch away from the evil button.
Correct. It's like there's always a movie where it's like, I'm going to use the sauna, and then the person cranks it up, where it's just like a pressure cooker now.
It
Really?
is. Awesome. That's awesome. That reminds me, next time I go to the gym, I will put a bag of broccoli into the steamer while I'm working out. So it'll be fresh and ready for dinner.
It'll be fresh and ready for 100%. No liability issue there.
I'll throw a chicken in jacuzzi, the broccoli in the steamer.
I watched Revenge of the Ninja, and the evil ninja people were holding a girl hostage and having her tied up in a jacuzzi, and it was murdering her. She's like, "No, I'm dying." Look, I've gotten an upset stomach when I've been in the jacuzzi too long. I don't know if I had to be rushed to the emergency room,
Were
but
you eating raw pork while you were in there?
it was
Why
eating the
your
broccoli that
stomach
was
be-
floating next to me and the chicken.
You've got to give the chicken an extra 5 minutes.
Absolutely. Oh, sweet Jesus. There's also, I didn't even mention this, there's an extended scene where they're going through like shit tunnels to rescue the obviously dead Bible salesman whose corpse is just in a ditch. And that was 30 minutes of this movie.
That was the biggest bit of bullshit. I'd be like, too bad, Sar. I'll say a little prayer for you, and then I'm going to put earplugs in my ear.
Well, but if they didn't do that, they wouldn't have seen little Deke, the baseball boy, who happened to show up, and he's like, "Where's my father?" And they're like, "Oh, he's dead. Sorry."
He's dead. We don't care. Shut up.
That kid snaps out of it pretty quick, though. He's like, "Okay, well, thanks for giving it to me straight, Doc."
His dad didn't seem like he had it together pretty well, so I guess
Yeah.
Emilio's his dad now.
That's how they're gonna do it.
One of his 30, 40 kids.
No question. Any other thoughts about Maximum Overdrive?
Oh, Lord. Yeah, a lot of random killing.
Yep.
A lot of Miller High Life product placement.
Yes.
Could not even at the restaurant they were giving tall boys a Miller High Life.
That's how they do it.
Do they even make that anymore? I feel like that's what Dad would buy when Mom would go out of town and he was left with all the children.
Just to
It'd
get
be
through the
like
day.
The two big things of like Miller or the Scotch buy that just said beer and corn chips. It was going to be a taco night.
I mean, there are obviously multiple deaths that we haven't even mentioned. Multiple people getting creamed by trucks for I mean, literally, take 2 seconds, bro, and you would have lived.
And,
Where
and
you're
as
like,
you might have guessed, the effing cars run out of gas, and Emilio decides we should probably just fill them all up because that's what they want.
now in his defense, he didn't just be like, for altruistic reasons, I'm just gonna go out here and fill up all these evil trucks. A crazy bulldozer arrives with a weird little go-kart with like an M60 attached to it. I don't know, is that a military issue? Perhaps.
I
And
don't even know what the hell that was. Was that something that ran on the tracks? Why would they have like this? I mean, I don't even think there's room on the back for a man to stand to fire this machine
no,
gun.
I don't know what it is. It's bizarre.
It was like Boxcar Willie's machine gun setup.
It absolutely was. And the machine gun, of course, because of course guns are also machines. To be clear,
Oh, I didn't think about that. So garden hose and a gun.
and a gun.
All right,
So
all
multiple. They wipe out about half the extras, and what you keep calling crazy racist guy. I don't know if he's racist or just an asshole. Who's to say? He gets blown up. Wanda Jean, the waitress, who's attacked earlier by the turkey knife, she also gets blown away for no reason,
And by a
screaming.
turkey knife, my friends, we mean one of those old school, like roast carvers. It has
Yes.
like 2 blades. It cuts through nothing. It was a piece of crap. In Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, they were trying to use it to strip
Face.
down a human,
Yep,
making some jerky off of someone's face and chest.
100%, 100%. So they, the military vehicle of some sort is honking at them, and luckily the baseball boy was in Boy Scouts, so he's able to decipher the Morse code.
And Kevin, did you in fact learn Morse code while you were a scout?
It's possible that there was a merit badge that I didn't receive. You know, it's definitely possible. I did not. I know SOS. Do you know SOS?
Do we assume that if this is aliens, that in fact they speak English and Morse code?
Yes, that's what we're to assume.
That's
100%.
more good science. All right.
So it's like you have to fill us up with gas or I'll shoot you or something. So then there's an extended musical montage with
Oh my
Hell's
God.
Bells where they're just pumping gas
For like 6 hours of the movie.
right.
This is the most boring and painful thing. And then it ran out of gas, and they're all dying because it's 100 degrees.
100
or
degrees
70,
and they have to
know.
pump constantly, and towards the end they show like Emilio's hands have like blisters. It's like, you're not digging a ditch, bro. You're standing there putting the gas thing in putting the pump in the tank and pulling the trigger. Okay, you're not
passing
working on a slave
out.
galley. It's like, come on, get it together.
So ridiculous. And especially considering the end, they run out under the tunnel so they don't get destroyed. They could have just done that, and
Yes.
they couldn't have chased them because they were out of gas.
100%.
And they had rocket launchers.
And they had rocket launchers. Yes, absolutely. Any last thoughts before we move on?
Oh yeah, I got a thought. This movie stinks.
That is the thought that I think we're having here. Let's go behind the scenes, shall we?
Sure. How
Um,
many children did Emilio have with this young woman?
countless thousands.
He populated the earth.
No question. When asked why he hasn't directed a movie since this one, Stephen King responded, "Just watch Maximum Overdrive." I think we agree.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen King later admitted that he was coked out of my mind during production and often didn't know what he was doing. He remarked that he'd like to try directing sober someday.
Okay, he didn't know what he was doing, not just because of the cocaine, but because he didn't know what he was doing.
Yes. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. While shooting the scene in which the steamroller rampages across the baseball diamond, Stephen King asked the SFX department to place a bag of fake blood near the dummy of a young player who'd be run over by it. A smear of blood would appear on the steamroller and be re-smeared on the grass over and over like a printing press. While filming the scene, the bag of blood exploded too soon and sprayed everywhere, making it appear as if the boy's head had also exploded. King was thrilled with the results, but censors demanded the shot be recut. Very upsetting.
King's finest moment.
Yep. It has long been
Perhaps
rumored.
there's a director's cut that we're unaware of.
I think Stephen King's also unaware of it. It has been rumored that George A. Romero actually ghost directed a large portion of the film while King was seeking treatment for his cocaine addiction.
I would assume this would have been better then.
Many fans of Romero's work have noted that film features many of his distinct camera angles and editing choices. While King has never admitted this up front, he has mentioned that Romero was constantly on set and King would frequently ask him for advice about directing.
It's possible that he tried to patch it up at the end. You know what I'm saying?
It's entirely possible. Let's see. On July 31st, 1985, while shooting in a suburb of Wilmington, North Carolina, a radio-controlled lawnmower went out of control and struck a block of wood used as a camera support, shooting out wood splinters. The director of photography, Armando Nanuzzi, lost his right eye. Nanuzzi sued Stephen King for $18 million in damages. The suit was settled out of court.
Oh, so we don't know how much he actually got.
We don't know. It's a mystery. But it was a case of, if I'm remembering this correctly, of multiple people saying, take the blade out of the lawnmower, and Stephen King refusing to do so.
Take the chain off the chainsaw. Take the bullets out of the gun.
Is that too much to ask?
Is that too much?
Let's talk about the cast and crew, shall we?
Let's.
Director and writer, Stephen King. You know him from writer on Maximum Overdrive, writer on Creepshow, writer on The Shawshank Redemption.
I think we need to stick with writer.
I think you're right. Creator of 9 episodes of Kingdom Hospital. Are you familiar with that?
I remember the name, but I never saw it. But since I hear there were 9 episodes, that's probably not good.
Probably not good. Emilio Estevez played Bill Robinson, the former ex-con with a heart of gold. You know him from The Way in 2010. I do not know him from that.
I do not know him.
He played Tim in 2006's Bobby.
No.
In
Don't know that.
2018, he played Stuart Goodson in The Public.
Nope, didn't see that either.
And perhaps most famously, he played William H. Bonney in 1990's Young Guns 2.
Nope, didn't see that either.
You didn't see
Apparently
Young Guns
know
2?
nothing of his career. Wasn't he in some war movie or something?
War movie.
Maybe I don't even know who this is.
Emilio who? Pat Hingle played Hendershot, the guy who owns the Dixie Boy and has all the guns and stuff. You've seen him in 1,000 things.
Yeah.
He was Horace the bartender in The Quick of the Dead in 1995. He was Commissioner Gordon in all the Tim Burton Batman movies in the 90s.
Let's bring Tim Burton back.
And he was Judge Fenton in 1968's Hang 'em High with Clint Eastwood.
I don't think I saw that. These are all strangers to me, clearly.
Laura Harrington played Brett, the road twitch. You know her from Maximum Overdrive, playing Brett. Brett was the name of her character.
Okay.
She was in The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, playing Miss Johnson 2 years earlier.
I have seen that film.
She was in the movie Polly in 1998 about the parrot.
Polyamorous couples?
100%. It's about polyamory. And she was Amy Grape in 1993's What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
I did see that.
Um,
She's the most recognizable character so far.
Yeardley Smith played Connie. You know her from such things as The Simpsons.
Yep.
764 episodes of The
Yep.
Simpsons.
I can't believe it's only 754 episodes. That doesn't even sound right.
She was Connie in Maximum Overdrive in 1986. She was in the Simpsons movie in 2007, which was not that good, in my opinion.
No, it was not. Very disappointing.
She was in 1985's The Legend of Billie Jean.
Billie Jean is not
Unrelated.
my lover.
Unrelated. Frankie Faison played Handy, the guy who drives the Green Goblin truck. And does he survive in this movie? I don't even remember.
I think he just goes in the back and takes a nap and wakes up when it's all over.
It's possible. You know him as Landlord in Coming to America, his most triumphant role.
Never saw that.
You say these things to me, and I'm enraged, I'm shocked, and frankly, I'm a little hurt. He was Coconut Sid in Do the Right Thing in 1989.
I did see that.
He was Chief Elliot Gordon in White Chicks in 2004.
I did see that.
Oh, God. And in 2009, he was Harlan in the movie Adam, which I'm unfamiliar with.
Unfamiliar. Is it about Adam Driver?
About Adam Driver. He was also the guy, I guess he was an orderly or a nurse in Silence of the Lambs. He was the kindly guy who took Clarice to meet Hannibal Lecter from time to time.
Okay.
So, good
That's
stuff.
something.
Any other cast members you want to know about? I don't think there is.
No, I don't think there is. What about Baseball Boy?
Baseball Boy Deke was played by Holter Graham.
Oh my God. Was his parents planning on making him an actor?
He was in 1986's Maximum Overdrive. He was in 1988's Hairspray.
Oh,
He
how
was
funny.
in 1996 Fly Away Home. And in 2020, he was in a movie called Small Time.
That seems a big leap in time.
It's something, yeah. And I think that's about it. Shall we talk about the rating, for God's sake?
Let's do it.
Maximum Overdrive. Currently, 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. 14%. Do you know what the audience gave it?
What did the audience give it? I'm gonna go look up Cannibal Holocaust while you talk about it.
50%. 50. I went to look for top critics, and there are no top critics who discuss this.
How is that possible?
Shockingly. I'll just pull one random critic. This is Kevin Carr from Fat Guys at the Movies.
Stop right there.
Yes.
Stop right there.
Yes.
So, how many points did it get?
14.
On the tomato meter? 14?
Yeah.
Cannibal Holocaust has a 67.
So there you go.
Audience score 61.
Both beat out Maximum Overdrive. So there you go. Kevin Carr, Fat Guys at the Movies, says, "Someone once said to me, Stephen King didn't direct this movie. Cocaine directed this movie. And it certainly shows. 1.5 out of 4. Boom. What is your rating, Aaron, for Maximum Overdrive?
Maximum Overdrive broke the cardinal rule. You can be ridiculous, you can make no goddamn sense, but don't bore me. 1.5 kick in the ass for Stephen King.
Right in the ass.
Right in the ass.
How
about this? 1.5 soda cans rocketing right at Stephen King's balls. How about that?
I don't think he'd appreciate that, but okay.
I think it fits the crime.
Punishment fits the crime. I'm going to give it 2.25.
That makes no sense, Kevin. Take it back.
2.25, swimming through the Shawshank Tunnel for no goddamn reason.
For no goddamn reason.
It's been said before, and I will say it again. I have seen much worse. Much worse. there are moments of pure unintentional hilarity punctuated
Not
by
many.
strong stretches of boredom. No question.
Mm-hmm.
No question. I've seen worse. I wouldn't go so far as to recommend this film.
No.
I think watch the first 15 minutes and it's hilarious, and then
Delete it off your VCR.
delete it from your brain would be my advice.
Wipe it clean.
Wipe it clean.
You need one of those Men in Black little bleeps.
Just zap them. Zap them. So, any last thoughts, Aaron?
Not on this piece of shit.
So, thank you very much. Go to our page across social media landscape. We're on X,
We're here.
Facebook,
We're there. We're everywhere. So beware.
Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, TikTok. You may be watching us on YouTube as we speak. And for that, I thank you. You can also email us, the podcast that wouldn't die, at
Gmail.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
I think I'm on Artsy and First Dibs still, Aaron Doherty. Otherwise, I am the cult of Aaron. Join the cult.
Just slide right into her DMs. She loves it. She loves it. As you know, we like to share the thoughts and feelings of people who were kind enough to watch or listen or see our posts on social media. Aaron, what do we got?
We have a couple today about Deadly Friend.
A
Thelma
couple.
Buttersworth writes in and says she wept when the goddamn robot died, that it was a pivotal moment in her life. We also got a message from our old friend Fester Trim, who said that he is waiting for the sequel because this is a movie that deserves a sequel.
I agree. 1,000%. 1,000%. Next week, we're going to be doing the horror science fiction classic Event Horizon, starring Sam Neill and others. We're having a couple of our friends from the Science Fiction Remnant dropping in to share their thoughts and feelings as well.
God help me, because I believe I may have even seen this in the theater. So
I believe I saw it in the theater as well. I don't think I've seen
Lord.
it since then, though, if I'm being
I
honest.
don't feel like a urge of excitement.
Not even a little urge?
I do not. I have this it says dread and fear overwhelming me with thoughts of watching that this week.
Well, the good thing about it is you may be able to watch it for free.
Ooh.
So that's something. If you want to watch Event Horizon, you can watch it on Paramount Plus.
I just canceled that.
You can watch it on Pluto TV with ads.
Oh, good.
How about that?
That's where I'll be watching it.
And I think it's also on Showtime, free with subscription.
I actually pay for Showtime, although I haven't watched it in about a year.
Or you can rent it for $3.99 or buy it for $4.99.
I'm not going to do either one of those. Did you already buy it, Kevin?
No, I thought, like, literally, if I would have had to rent it, I would have bought it. Just because that's just how I do.
God.
Here we go. Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Kathleen Quinlan, Jolie Richardson, Richard T. Jones, Jack Noseworthy, Jason Isaacs, Sean Pertwee. It's actually a few names I recognize.
Was it the Pertweed?
Sean Pertwee, I recognize him. Absolutely. His father, if I'm remembering correctly, was the third Doctor Who. Boom.
Ooh.
So there you go.
There's no Skarsgård in this, though.
No Skarsgård. Sadly, no.
Oh,
Sadly, no.
Then it's trash.
So, send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show, like Fester Trim and Hagatha Brickrock and the rest of the gang. Okay?
All our dear friends.
So, thank you very much, and be well!